My name is Ndilanha. I'm the leader at Evin School of Management. Evin School of Management is a learning and development center, and also it's running independent center for research on organizational development and learning. And so for 20 years now, since 2006 when it was founded, we've been working with organizations and institutions to help them to be more stronger, more resilient, more impactful, and so that they can be able to deliver their services or their programs in a more impactful way. And part of our role and what we do with organizations and institutions is capacity building. And one of the areas where we focus is on strengthening the management and leadership, and also the governance in terms of board of directors. We help them in terms of recruitment, induction process, and also supporting them in terms of building capacity for them to make sure that they can be able to function their oversight role in a required way, in a proper way. One key difference for our approach is that we take board governance, accountability issues very serious. And so our focus is on the knowledge-based and value-based perspectives. But we think values are very key and very critical when you are selecting or when you are inducting board members. And so factoring values when you are selecting and nominating board members, we think this is very critical. Before I go further, I kindly request you to spend 2-3 minutes to watch the next case study, and so you'll be able to understand why we think and we argue that values are very important for senior management board members when you are nominating them or when you are selecting them, should be factored in apart from or in addition to academic qualification, work experience, and membership associations.
We have very different medical systems in our two countries, seemingly, in the US and the UK. But this propaganda, as you call it, has been widespread worldwide, right? So what is at the root of that?
Yeah, so you ready to know what it is? What's the root of that? In 2016, this is all you need to know, actually. In 2016, Tel Aviv University in Israel conducted a study, 500,000 patients in 49 countries. It was the largest study ever done on high blood pressure. And they found 49 countries, 500,000 people, that the individuals who consumed the most salt every single day had the best blood pressure readings and the most normal blood pressure readings. And all the individuals who consumed 3 times the amount the FDA tells you should consume salt every day, every person around the world that consumed 3 times that amount had better blood pressure readings than anybody who took the FDA readings. Now, they publish in The Lancet in the UK where you are. The Lancet is a medical journal. They publish the results of the study, that the more salt someone consumes, the better their blood pressure is, and the lower their risk factors for stroke and heart attack become. When you just asked me why and who benefits from this lie, why would they tell us this lie? Did you see that when that was published by The Lancet, did you see who threatened The Lancet with pulling their funding if they publish that study and don't retract it?
No.
The American Heart Association threatened The Lancet and told them, you publish that study, we're going to pull all of your funding. You have to retract that study. All right, so the next question for you is, why would the American Heart Association be angry at a medical journal for publishing a study, largest one ever done in history, proving that salt intake, the more salt you eat, the lower your risk factor for high blood pressure, strokes, and heart attacks is. Why is that a threat to the American Heart Association? Which, by the way, is the highest revenuing medical association in the whole world.
What?
Why would the American Heart Association threaten the actual medical journal with their publishing of that study if they don't retract it? What's the threat to the American Heart Association if that truth was to get out?
Tell me.
The American Heart Association's 90% of all their funding comes from the pharmaceutical industry. The
Right.
drug makers of high blood pressure drugs and stroke drugs and heart attack drugs. So if the majority of their funding comes to them from high blood pressure drug manufacturers like Merck, Pfizer, and others, of course they're going to see this journal as a threat and this article as a threat, because if people started eating more salt in their diet and they read that study and medical doctors got a hold of that information and that truth, they would start telling their patients to eat more salt. Well, does Pfizer own salt companies? Not that I'm aware of. Does Merck own salt companies? Not that I'm aware of. But even if they did, salt is cheap and it's a natural resource that you can't patent, typically, unless you change its formula. So this was the ultimate threat to the American Heart Association is it will reduce sales of high blood pressure medications, stroke medications, and heart disease medications. If the truth gets out that salt in increased amounts than what the governments are telling us will reduce our risk of heart attacks and strokes. So who did the lie benefit the most to tell all of society that salt is bad for you and lower your salt intake? Who did it benefit from the beginning?
Terrifying. The
It's
pharmaceutical
the drug companies.
Yeah.
The drug companies that make the high blood pressure drugs. Okay, so
And so, to understand and to onboard the board members, we start by looking on their knowledge, skills, and ideas. And we bring on top of the knowledge, skills, and ideas, the values. And so, normally when we do board induction, we take 4 steps. And we want board members to be not trained just in a single day. We take this as a program. It has to be a long term, where from the selection process to onboarding them, to induction them, to placement, board members, the process of bringing in board members should not be just an overnight decision. Headhunting process should start for some years, for some months, looking into the right people, looking into the right values, people who have the right values, who have value alignment to the organization. But this is not the case what we see. We see board members, they have been just appointed. No work has been done on the background to find out what are their values, what do they stand for, what are their priorities, what is it driving their decisions. And we do understand that some of the values, they dominate some other values. And so this is very important. And so we work with organizations and companies for taking a longer term view, a minimum of 1 year, looking for board members, trying to engage them from the first stage. Engaging process. This is knowledge management, where you engage, you try to filter, you try to refine their knowledge, you try to shape them to align, to come into line with the organization. And then we introduce them into the policies. That's the developing stage. We introduce them into the policies, and we develop together mechanisms of cooperation. And these, they work like shared values. And when we have shared values in place, they underpin the decision-making process, everything that we do. And then it's just after that level, that's when we go into stage 3, which is an enabling. Before board members start now discharging their duties, this is where we look on the proper governance accountability structures. We make sure there are clear roles and responsibilities for them to work. We put in place clear and robust information system process for them to have communication, to know what is going on. Information is important, But again, also we support by putting in place effective decision-making process so that they can be able to be effective. They can be able to do their work. And finally, number 4 is an empowerment, where now we give them responsibilities, we assign them responsibilities, we give them an empowerment in terms of what is it that they can decide, what is it that they cannot decide. What is their responsibilities? Where are they accountable? Where is it they're supposed to consult? Where is it that they're supposed to inform? So we take them through 4 processes of engaging, developing, enabling, and empowerment. And an engagement process is where we develop common goals, shared understanding, and a common vision about the organization, about the institution. They have to understand. And so it doesn't have to be a overnight an issue. This process has to take many, many years. And so we encourage organizations and the businesses to start working to bring in board members at least a year or 2 years before. Socialize them so that they understand your vision and your organization common goal. And then have an agreement with them in terms of shared values. After seeing that they align with the core shared values of an organization, that's when now you go into roles and responsibilities and have clear structures for them to work, information systems, and the decision-making process. And we continue empowering, developing them, exposing them into different departments, into different areas of the business, and also try to bring them into more exposure so that they understand the business. And through this way, this is where we see now board can be more effective. Board members can be more impactful, rather than certification. Certifications are good, they are good decorations, but we think value-based management is key. Value-based management can turn around an organization. Value-based management, when it's internalized in an organization, that's where we can see businesses are growing, businesses are becoming more impactful, businesses are becoming more resilient, business can be able to adapt. I hope you have enjoyed my small presentation. Please go through the numbers that we are giving you there. Call us for more discussions. We can guide you in a more proper way, in a more professional way on how you can start thinking, recruiting, how to recruit, how to select, how to do an induction of the board members for your